Hey everybody, this is TotalGamerJunkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So, interesting thing happened about 12 hours ago. I was looking at the Life is Strange reveal trailer, just trying to see if I could notice anything to make a theory video on it. But I couldn't, it was tired, so I decided just to scroll off as I was on my phone. But I hit the description tab instead of just using my thumb to flick away the video. And when I did, I came across something very interesting in the description, which I want to talk about. Now, if you've already seen the post I put up, you know what this is. But if not, check the post. There's a link to the video that I was watching, so you know I'm not full of crap. But in this post, in this video, in the description, it had not only the title for what each episode is called, but also a brief description of what happens in each episode. Now, I want to say, before I get into this, a few things. First off, this could be fake, you know. Sometimes theories can be true, like the ones that came out a few years ago about true colors and Life is Strange double exposure. Other times, leaks can be fake, you know. Someone's just trying to get a rise out of people, you know, or just wants to mess with people. But whatever this is, I do want to let you all know, because when the game comes out, if the episode titles are the same in these supposed leaks as they are in the actual game, then we'll know that this is real. And I also want to make a correction. I originally thought there was only going to be 3 episodes because I misread the pre-order wrong, but no, it's 5 episodes. I'm pleased it's 5 episodes. Well, but anyways, let's get into these, starting with episode 1. Episode 1 is titled A New Dawn. Introduction and setup. The episode begins with Max Caulfield settling in as a photography student at Colden University. She's trying to put her past behind her and focus on her future as an artist. Discovery of the mystery. Max discovers the body of a friend who plunges her into a new supernatural adventure, which is obviously Sophie. New ability. Max realizes she can now switch between 2 parallel timelines. In one timeline, her friend is dead, in the other, she is still alive. Objective. The episode ends with Max deciding to find out what happened and prevent the murder. Now, if this information is true, this can actually help us determine not when the first episode starts, but also where it ends. So, I believe, as you all know, with Life is Strange 2 and True Colors, we get the option of, did we sacrifice Arcadia Bay, yes or no? And whatever our choice is, Max will wake up in bed, and then she'll look at a photograph of Chloe in her wallet, and it will be different depending on what our ending was. Max will then go about her day. We'll learn how to play as her, what the controls are. She'll end up meeting Sophie at the little cafe, and then Max and Amanda will have that interaction. Then Sophie will bring up Chloe. Then after that, the day will progress a little more. Not sure how or what's going to happen, but towards the end of the episode is where Sophie is going to be murdered. And at the very end, at least from how I'm interpreting this synopsis of the episode will end shortly after Max shifts into this new timeline. So she will have that interaction with Sophie and her mum. Then she decides she's going to use these powers to figure out who murdered Sophie in her timeline and who's going to murder her in this new one and prevent it. And then episode ends. Now this brings us to episode 2, Fragments of Time. Investigation. Max begins collecting clues in both timelines. She learns to make better use of her new ability. New characters. Introducing new characters who help Max in her quest or pose obstacles. Conflicts. Max encounters her first major conflicts, both personal and due to external circumstances which complicate her investigation. Now I think this the external conflict is that new character, Loretta Rice. She's the one that you see, she's got the tape recorder and she's trying to interview Max about something, and you can choose the option to answer her questions or call her bluff. Now, I can't remember the exact name for what that image was called, because there were 6 images. I made a video about it last month, I believe it was, and they each had certain descriptions on it, and one of them with the one with Loretta and Max was I believe it was difficult decisions or difficult choice. And the reason I think this is a difficult choice is, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think after this is set in the timeline where Sophie's dead, and I do think Loretta is when she's investigating Max, because Max is clearly the prime suspect because there's no footprints, no gun, there's nothing, and she discovers Max is from Arcadia Bay, and depending on what ending we got, she's in a sense blackmailing us to like get some information. So tell me what really happened at the crime scene in that, or I'm gonna reveal about your life in Arcadia Bay and what happened there. So yeah, I do think that's what's gonna happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now in this episode, it could also be the episode where Max, like depending on our choices, because we know it's optional, Max can share her secret with Moses about her powers, the alternate timeline, and get his help in seeing possibly why her powers changed and who would want Sophie dead, and the two of them will team up. And maybe if you don't disclose this information with him, maybe this will make him grow suspicious of Max in the game, and he could grow not to trust her. Let's go to episode 3, Echoes. Deepening the investigation, this episode is particularly challenging and contains many moral dilemmas. Max must carefully consider her decisions. Entanglements is a new section. Max discovers connections between the two timelines that further complicate the mystery. Cliffhanger. The episode ends with a dramatic event that increases the tension for the next episode. Now, what I think is, because there is a theory that, when the leaks for this game came out, one of them was that the killer has powers. And if you've read the comics, there's a character called Tristan, who he's able to shift himself, make himself invisible so no one can see or hear him. And then with Max's help, he ends up going to her timeline, and by the end of the comic, he's able to shift between the two timelines. Well, there's many timelines as the comics have established, but he's able to shift between his timeline and the timeline Max is from. So I think a villain like this would make sense, and who knows, maybe what could have happened was, I'm just speculating here, if Max created a new timeline, the guy or the chick who killed Sophie could have been sucked into this new timeline. And you'd be like, wait, that's impossible, I killed her, there's no way she can be alive. I think that'd be very interesting. And how Max has to carefully consider our decisions and who we want to trust and whatnot. What if we end up trusting the killer? I mean, I got powers and share all this information with him or her. That wouldn't bode well for us. But anyways, the cliffhanger ends with a dramatic event that increases the tension for the next episodes. I think it's going to be the two moons show up at the very end. The red and blue moon, the thunderous clouds are going to appear, and this is going to cause Max to start to panic. But don't worry, because in the next episode, episode 4, Resonance, we have a Chloe reunion. If Chloe survived in the first game, Max and Chloe will meet again. This encounter is emotional and brings new insights, critical decisions. Max faces several key moments that can drastically change the course of the story. Revelations, important parts of the mystery are revealed, and Max gets closer to the truth. So that could actually be, instead of the two moons, a dramatic event could be Chloe showing her face again. And there's actually something else I noticed in the video itself. Instead of looking in the description, if you go to when you click on the little icon of the channel name and click the description of what the YouTuber's channel is about, there's more information about Max and Chloe, and it reads, yes, there is actually an encounter between Max and Chloe in Life is Strange Double Exposure. Although the main focus of the plot is Max's new adventure at Carleton University and the mystery surrounding her friend's death. The two meet in one of the later episodes, episode 4, This encounter is very emotional and contributes significantly to Max's character development. Reuniting with Chloe is not only a nostalgic moment for fans of the series, but also brings with it important plot elements and decisions that affect the course of the story. Chloe offers Max support, and there are deep conversations about their past experiences and the challenges they face now. This scene also shows how Max and Chloe's relationship has changed and developed over the years, giving players a glimpse into Chloe's life after the events of the first game. And I think the reason that I'm still planning to make a video on it, but then this new information came out. I think one of the reasons is based on a job that Chloe has, and I think one of the jobs is a mechanic, because we learned it before the storm, she fixed up her car in the junkyard, she repaired that. So it's possible that she could have that job as well. We know, if you've read the comics, when Max goes back to her time, towards the very end, Arcadia Bay is being rebuilt, the Two Whales Diner is rebuilt, and around the side there's a little auto shop that Chloe has, which she can use to help repair cars and whatnot. And so I think this is very interesting, and I'm quite curious to know what's going to happen if this is true. If Chloe isn't there, what do you think is going to happen? And instead of having Chloe, because Max is keeping this bottled up all to herself, what if that scene where Max explains her powers to Sophie in the alternate timeline, what if Max has to talk to Sophie if Chloe isn't in the game? Or maybe she has to learn to deal with this grief herself, I don't know, and like try to accept it. Okay, I couldn't do anything in the past, but that's over, I made my choice, I need to move on, I need to stay in the present, I need to focus on saving my friends here. Now, there is something I do want to bring up before I move to episode 5, and it involves Chloe, and I want to make this very clear, this is also another rumor, and I'm not sure, I'm going to look more into it, but supposedly Ashley Birch isn't going to be voicing Chloe in this, rather it's going to be the chick that voiced Chloe in Before the Storm and True Colors, because apparently she's working on two games, one of them where she's a side character and the other one where she's a main character. Now I think, but if she's voicing a main character, Before the Storm 2 makes sense, but because I'd play it Before the Storm 2. Before the Storm 1 does have a bit of continuity issues, but I do like the game overall. But having her voice Chloe in this, I don't know, I'd have to see, because I do like that lady's performance as Chloe. But, it's just Ashley Birch, you want to get, if you're giving us all this fan service, then you got to get the 2 original voice actors back. Which, to be fair, Deck 9 did. If they were able to do that with the farewell episode, then they should be able to do it again. So, I'm going to look into this more, but fingers crossed that it's actually Birch reprising her role. Episode 5, Duality. Final investigation. Max does everything she can to reveal the truth and prevent the murder. Resolution. The final secrets are revealed and the consequences of the decisions made become visible. Conclusion. The story comes to a conclusion with the ending heavily dependent on the player's decisions. There are several possible endings that have different consequences for Max and the other characters. Now, one of those endings I've theorized could be, as you know, this game allows you to romance characters, like every Life is Strange game does. There's always 2 romance options. And I think a consequence for new players could be that the option to say romance Amanda, like both romances are in the timeline where Sophie is dead, and I think that'll be very interesting. So if you want your romance with Amanda or Moses, you have to stay in the timeline where Sophie is dead, or you can go to the timeline where Sophie's alive but Max doesn't have a relationship with Amanda or Moses. So I think that'd be very interesting. Also, who's to say that one of these timelines isn't going to be destroyed? Perhaps Max has to destroy one of them rather than shift to another timeline. It's because we see that the detective in the trailer, he ends up seeing an alternate version of himself. Now who's to say that other people won't start seeing the same, and Max has to destroy one timeline to save the other? Or it could even be something as similar as if any of you have played Bioshock Infinite, there's this scene where you got to find this Chinese guy to help you build guns for the Vox Populi, but he's dead. But Elizabeth can open a tear to a timeline where he's alive. And in doing so, when you're heading back out the way you came, you can see these guards, their noses are bleeding and they're glitching out. These are the guards you killed in the previous timeline, but in this new one, they're not only alive, they remember dying, and this has put them in some kind of serious shock, mental shock, like mental breakdown, I guess would be the better term. And so that would be very interesting to explore, seeing how a few people of Colden University, or maybe even all of them, getting memories of this alternate timeline, and they're being so confused as to what's going on. And that's also very interesting when you bring Chloe in. This is very interesting when you bring Chloe into it. Now, I do think this was in another theory video I'm working on, but I do think in the timeline where Sophie's dead, Chloe is coming to Colden University to comfort Max because she wants to be there for her. But in the timeline where Sophie's alive, Chloe is still doing her own thing, like her hypothetical job as a mechanic. So she has no reason to go see Max, like unless it's an emergency. But that'd be very interesting to see how that's going to play out. And who's to say that Max has to destroy a timeline? What if whatever timeline Max chooses to stay in, like the comics, the other one still exists, but Max isn't there? And so you could argue, and you could actually say, I don't know, it'd be pretty bittersweet if you think about it, if you want to go to the timeline where Sophie's alive and you got Max with Chloe, because I don't think that switching between timelines changes the ending of Life is Strange 1. I think it just changes Sophie's death. That's it. Because Max created a timeline where Sophie's alive. She didn't create a timeline where she made the opposite choice of what she did in Life is Strange 1. But can you just imagine, like, all the stuff that they bring Chloe back, like Deck 9 does, where with Chloe in episode 5 and presumably episode 4 and presumably episode 5, and then if Max decides to stay in the timeline with Sophie, like, she gets her Chloe, but then we've abandoned another Chloe in another timeline. Holy shit. Wow, that would suck. But yeah, anyways, that's really that's all the synopsises for every episode. I don't have much to talk about at the moment. I would definitely like to focus on this more if any of you are interested in that. But I'm going to hold my breath until we get the names of what the episodes are. Then I will wholeheartedly believe this theory to be true, to be an actual leak. But until then, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, because as I said before, people can post anything on the internet. You can make fake leaks, you can make real leaks, you know. Like when that photo of Max and Chloe came out, for Double Exposure, I was very skeptical. I was thinking, okay, that's why the first video I made about it could be fake. But no, it's actually, I learned it was from the YouTube channel Nicefield, which got it from Twitter. So, from the Life is Strange Twitter. So, that ended up being true, so who's to say this isn't? But, let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.